Thanks for your joins. With us and live with us. And I won't let him talk. I'll embarrass him a little bit initially. So we're just waiting for Zvi to join. And here he is, Zvi.
Hi, Shalom Aleichem. How are you?
Aleichem Shalom, Zvi. Nice to see you. It's been a while. We used to see each other a lot back in the day.
Yep.
It's great to see you. And thank you very much for making time. Before we get started, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit and introduce you. I know if I would have asked you or your assistants for bios, I wouldn't have gotten it. You're so humble. But I'm going to go ahead and show off a little bit about who you are. I know you for years through some common schooling for our kids. And I know everything that, I don't know even the least of what you do, but I know a little bit of what you do. So I'll embellish a little bit. I'll introduce you, and then you could do your thing. Maybe you'll give us, maybe a 1 or 2 minute introduction, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you want, and then we'll open it up to any questions that we may have. We have a bunch of questions that came in already. We encourage everyone that's here to, type in their questions and ask or comments that they may have. Ask that and engage with Zvi and understanding or asking any of your questions that you have. So without further ado, Zvi, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. Zvi, as many of us already know, he's an amazing individual. I know him for years. And I'll just go by what they have on Amudim's website describing Zvi. Zvi is described as being born to help others. And I think that's absolutely true. Anyone that knows Zvi or knows the organization that Zvi has founded by the name of Amudim. And Amudim is an amazing organization. They do so much for the community, both locally and at large. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about that in a few minutes, about the reach and the depth and breadth of Amudim. But just from your website, Zvi, I see you fielded, just for the coronavirus crisis alone, right? You fielded, it looks like, in excess of 1,800 support line calls, 950 hours of support, essentially, phone support. You have over 100 support line volunteers. Thank God, in Amudim, which is amazing. Over 120,000 Amudim video views and over 50,000 page views. Just with regards to Corona. Zvi himself has been doing chesed and acts of kindness since an early age, since he's a teenager, age 15, growing up in his father's house, learning from his father, Rabbi Edgar Gluck. I love the quote that's on Amudim's website, and I think that encompasses and summarizes Zvi and Amudim to the best way possible, and that is a citation or a quote from Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers. "B'makom she'en bo anashim, hishtadel liot ish." In a place where there are no leaders, be a leader yourself, and I think that's what Zvi is. And both personally, I've known him, and with regards to this amazing organization that he's created and helped to grow. Without further ado, Zvi, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you too. I thought we were just going to reminisce about the old days and have a little chat. I didn't realize, this is going to be a whole formal production here. This is.
If we're going to do that, we're going to have to get Rabbi Weichselbaum and a few other folks on board, which we didn't have time to do. Maybe next time.
Listen, we got to do a reunion, but it's good to see you again. Like I say, we might be physically distant or socially distant, but emotionally together, and this is the new reality today. So
absolutely.
Thank you for inviting me onto your town halls, and I look forward to an interesting evening.
Thank you. I'm sure it will be. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your time. I know you're very, very busy, especially these days with everything that's going on. So it's an honor and a pleasure, and we certainly do appreciate it. So why don't you start with a brief if you want to do a brief intro of Amudim, where things are, or what's interesting in Amudim, where things are headed, if you'd like, whatever you have in mind, and then I think that'll just segue into some questions, engagement from the community.
Sure. I mean, Amudim was founded just under 6 years ago, with the original focus being to destigmatize abuse, addiction, and mental illness within the community. It quickly grew into a comprehensive clinical case management, where our amazing dedicated staff of therapists are helping people through their most difficult times and crises and really helping them find the proper solutions, therapy, treatment, and the proper care, helping the families adjust, helping not just the people that are in pain, but those around them as well. We currently have a sister office in Eretz Yisrael that was opened up about 2 years ago. Again, servicing yeshiva students, seminary girls, and the Anglo communities there. And Amudim has, I used to say unfortunately, but I've been told I have to say fortunately grown, because it doesn't mean that more people have problems. It means that more people are reaching out for help. So
Right.
we've serviced just under 7,000 clients, I guess, since we were founded. And,
It's fortunately, unfortunately, right? In any public service, I think you could say the same thing, I guess.
absolutely. But at the same time, when we realized what's going on, with the coronavirus in the beginning, you mentioned the support line calls. So it's important for the listeners to know this. The support line is actually staffed by licensed mental health professionals only. And it's open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. We're coming up to a Yom Tov now. People should know it's open on Yom Tov as well. If people
Wow.
are feeling that they have the need to speak to somebody over the Chag, they should be able to do so. And
I'm sure that wasn't easy to pull off
actually, it was
with Rabbanim.
much easier than I thought. I have to be honest with you. I reached out to our Marada Asra, who put me in touch with Rav David Cohn, who not only gave a psak halacha for it, but he actually went on video. He had his wife
Wow.
take the video of him, and with the knowledge that it's going to go public. He said it right away, because people need to understand that, mental health and addiction and all these other issues are dinei nefashos, and if people need help, even on Shabbos and Yom Tov, I mean, they went so far to say that people can join Zoom meetings on Shabbos and Yom Tov, for the purpose of 12-step meetings or support groups. So those calls that you mentioned is actually on the support line itself. In addition to, the actual Amudim caseload is currently about 61% higher than it was last year, this time year over year, as a
Oh, wow.
direct result. And like I tell everybody when I speak to them, better to be on the giving side of any crisis than on the receiving side. And Baruch Hashem, we have really just an amazing staff, amazing team. Our leadership has really been amazing. Our board members, our lay leaders, people just really helping us out.
It's amazing.
Obviously, it goes without saying, like any good organization, we still need money to run, but that God somehow manages to make that happen. So we just keep believing. But Baruch Hashem, we're here to help in whatever way we can.
It's amazing. It's so inspiring and so amazing. And you could see you have some fans already that have chimed in. I like the hashtag heroes work here. Hashtag heroes work here. Amudim, right?
So
That's why you probably paid that person to say that.
yeah,
But
for
whatever,
sure.
Mister.
So I have to try to learn how to do this, to scroll up and down on these messages. But yeah, I paid everybody to join tonight and to write nice things, that of course. But the answer is heroes do work at Amudim. The truth is, and I say this proudly, we are blessed. I don't know any better team in the world than those at Amudim to really provide the comprehensive care, compassion, and devotion that the staff at Amudim have in all of our locations. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it shows, I think, from the quality of what you guys produce and what you're doing. It's not easy work what you're doing, and it's I'm sure very rewarding work, but it's not easy. So kol hakavod to you and to everyone, the entire organization, really. So you started mentioning that the support line are staffed strictly by licensed clinical workers, right?
Correct.
Social workers.
And 1 second, I got to stop 1 second. I'm sorry. I'm learning how to read these messages. And of course, I have to say thank you to my wife, Aviva, for posting something nice. Now we can continue.
Her you didn't pay, though. She was the only one you didn't have to pay.
I'm paying her the most. What are you talking about?
Mrs. Gluck, thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part. I'm sure you would have joined if your husband wasn't on, but still, well, I'm honored, and thanks for joining.
By the way, my daughter's on too, so I really have to behave now.
Okay.
Okay, so what was your question again? The beauty of ADHD. I was about to answer, and then I got sidetracked.
Okay, good. No, that's good. So, the therapists are manning the support lines, but they're volunteers as well.
So it was amazing. I must tell you, during the first couple of days of the crisis, the Amudim phones just went completely off the hook. And a lot of the people that were calling us for things that were not really Amudim related, but they just had nowhere to turn. And I
Wow.
guess the word Amudim became synonymous with crisis. So they were just calling, whether it's where can I get food for Yom Tif, to I can't be at home with the person who I'm in quarantine with because of an abusive situation, to I don't have money for food, to I'm just anxious, to I'm just nervous. And it was insane. We just didn't know what to do. So I reached out to a bunch of other organizations and tried to figure out, like, does anyone have a good answer? And apparently there used to be a support line, a mental health support line in the frum community, that had shut down, and thank you, Shmuel, you know I never behave, that had shut down a couple of years ago. I guess they ran out of funds. I'm not exactly sure. But we actually had something very, very interesting, which was during Hurricane Irma. We were able to have our phone company, our phone provider, which I'll just give them a shout out, Telego. Thank you for the service. They set up an entire system in which people from Florida were calling people from New York who had relatives in Florida were calling to find out how their loved ones were doing. And we sort
Wow.
of kept the system operational without ever shutting it down, so to speak. And I basically turned around and I said, okay, if that's the case, then I reached out to a bunch of friends in the field, and I said, I don't have time to train volunteers to start answering phone calls. And I reached out to people at the suicide prevention hotline, at some other support lines, and they all said to me, no, it's going to take months to train people. I said, we don't have time. So what are we supposed to do? So we said, listen, if we get licensed professionals, you don't need to train them. These are mental health professionals. And literally within a few days, we had our first 50 volunteers. We're now over 100. None of them do more than 2 to 3 hour shifts because we don't want them to burn out. And they're just amazing. I mean, these are people, some of them are psychologists, PhDs, PsyDs, clinical social workers, and really just giving of their own time for complete strangers. The support line is completely anonymous if people
Wow.
want it to be. And I'll tell you something amazing. More than 75% of the callers, because there's a form that the volunteers fill out after each call, even if the person's anonymous, just to track it, more than 75% of the callers are reporting that their matter was resolved, we'll call it, just by calling, just by having somebody to talk to. And that's just truly amazing. So
The
the
fact that
support line,
someone's listening.
yep, and we see that all the time. The person just needed a listening ear, and we have people calling us from all over the world. I mean, from other
Right.
countries, and then in Israel, we opened up a separate support line for English speakers in Israel because there were just a lot of calls coming in from there. So better to have people locally to know the resources. So really, that's been amazing. And the truth is, it's helped us at Amudim as well, because our call volume on the actual Amudim cases is just, I mean, we used to average 40, 50, 60 cases a week was a busy week. The last 3 weeks alone, we've had between 80 and 100 new cases a week. So it's really been just an amazing experience. And to see so many people get together, we have volunteers literally from all over, California, Chicago, New York, Jersey, Maryland, Israel, England. It's beautiful. It's
So
Mikam
it's
Israel.
amazing. And I think it's a tribute to the mission, but it's also a tribute to you. I know you, and I know how inspiring you are, and how you're very hard to say no to. So I think it's a tribute to you. So thank you for
I
doing
don't
that.
know.
And by
I
the
don't
way,
know if
what you
my
said about
wife. I don't think my wife's going to agree to that. That I'm that hard to say no to. But maybe other people.
listening, that is half the battle. People are healed just by knowing that someone's listening. I do that with my wife all the time. I pretend I'm listening, and this way she feels good. And you don't really have to listen, right? You just pretend that you're listening.
Well, isn't that the famous? When Hashem told Avram Avinu, right? What was the actual pasuk? Shema. Is it to hear or to
Right,
listen? Which one
right.
was it? I have to hear you. No, but absolutely.
That's right.
But that's
That's
what
right.
it is. So it's just Mikam Yisrael. I always say these types of situations bring out the best of people that people could have never imagined. And it's so beautiful to be a part of that, really.
Right, right. Now you mentioned Mikam Chag Israel, but you guys don't cater just for the Jewish community, right?
We help anybody that calls us for help. Anybody calls. We don't question people when they're on the phone. Who are you? What's your background? Where are you from? that's just anyone who needs help. But at the end of the day, you look at the beauty and the chesed that goes on within Klal Yisrael is amazing, and you're seeing it everywhere now.
Sure, sure, absolutely. All right, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I have a bunch of questions myself, but this is not for me. This is for the community. So we'll open it up for the community to engage with Zvi. Zvi is here. You can't stomp him with any question that you may have. Tonight's format is Ask Me Anything. He actually didn't want to see some of the questions that came in beforehand. I offered to sell to him for $1 a piece, but he said no. He wanted to be surprised and be shocked. So why don't we start with, if anyone has any questions or comments, just type them into the comment box. I don't know if we'll let anyone take the camera. I think we'll just stay with Zvi on camera and myself on camera. That's the format that we chose for tonight. But if you have any questions or comments, type them into the comment box. We do have some questions that came in before, and we'll pull them up now, Zvi, with your permission, and take it from there. So here's the first question you see on your screen. What is the best way to research and find a good therapist?
The best way. So it's a very tough question. Most of it is going to be word of mouth, knowing people. I mean, listen, we spend a lot of time researching therapists. We work a lot with Relief Resources that does an amazing job at researching therapists. So there's a lot that goes into it. But it's really about getting their references. I say a lot of the reviews on the internet are not necessarily the best way, because all it takes is one person to have a bad experience. And therapy is like a shidduch. I say this straight. I can send somebody to somebody who is considered to be the best therapist in the world. And
did you say therapy is like shidduch, or shidduchim are like therapy?
Well, it could be either or. But
Okay.
I say it all the time. One of the keys to Amudim is that we do case management for that exact reason. Because if we speak to the client the first time they went to the therapist, the second, and then the third, and we see that it doesn't work, it might be the best therapist, but not for this client. So it's a really tough thing to say how to find a good therapist. There's a lot of great therapists out there, but you need to know which therapists are good for what type of issues. Some might be better with certain genders. Some might be better with specific matters, things of that nature. So It's really a tough thing, but I will say that Relief does a very good job in doing research on that as well. And they've partnered with us in the support line as well. But again, just because somebody is a good therapist, and I say the same thing about treatment facilities, it might be good for Ruvain, it might not be good for Shimon. But there's actually one question, I'm learning how to do this, so give me a second here. What happens if I need help outside of the call center hours? So I'll be honest, staffing the call center from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week, with a minimum of 2 to 3 mental health professionals per shift is very, very difficult. However, people can always, if they do call us and it's an emergency, we do have an emergency response protocol for after hours, or people can text home to 741-741, which is the crisis text line. Again, I don't know their training or if the people that you're going to get on that text line are mental health professionals. I do know that they have a very good reputation. It's not something that I'm actually supposed to speak to them tomorrow to get more information about them. But if it's Amudim related and it's an emergency, like this past Matzah Shabbos at 2 o'clock in the morning, we had an unfortunate, very, very difficult situation that came in, and we were able to respond to it and to deal with it. But the support line is designed specifically for those hours. People could call after hours and they will go to a call center. And if it's an emergency, we will try to have somebody get back to them. Again, 7 days a week, but we can't promise that. So that's why we only list the hours at 8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Right. I mean, they could always call you on your cell phone, right, at 3 a.m.
So they could, and then they'll wake up my assistant, David, because I have my phone forwarding to him now the few hours I need to sleep, because I got to sleep a little bit. Or they can call my house phone and wake my wife up, which is very easy because she'll for sure wake me up, and my phone number is listed. So I'm not one of those people that's hiding my house number. If someone does need to reach me, we'll be more than happy to assist. But
that's amazing. I was joking, but that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Very few people would do that and put themselves out there to, to be woken up in the middle of the night. That's amazing.
Oh, we certainly
try. It's so inspiring hearing your story and seeing what you do. It's so inspiring to me personally. I'm sure it's inspiring to everyone that's viewing and listening. So kol hakavod. Let's go, instead of the pre-curated questions that we have here, let's try to find one back on the stream. You're getting to be an expert here.
I'm
And scroll
trying.
back. I'm seeing one by Talented Painting. How do my parents, I think the English is a little bit off, but I think the question is, how do I get my parents to be on board about my pain?
So that's a very big part of what we try to deal with, and it's very difficult. So first of all, for whatever pain you're going through, I'm really sorry to hear about it, and may you get all the help that you need and all the nechama that you need. One of the things that we do is we try, when we're dealing with people, to also address with their parents and teach their parents about it. Very often, and this is very, very common in a lot of our work. I can't tell you how often we hear, oh, they should just get over it already. A person's this and this old. Come on, move on. A big part of what we do is we work therapeutically with the parents. We get the parents into therapy. We try to get some group therapy together. We try to get other parents who have dealt with similar things to speak to parents if they have it. So this is something that I would say that you should, by all means, if there's something that Amudim can help with, please email us at support@amudim.org, and we'll be more than happy to try. I can't promise you results. Some parents are tougher than others, but we will definitely try, and definitely something that we see very regularly.
That's great. That's great. Hopefully I answered your question, Talented Painting, and again, good luck. It sounds like you're in very good hands, but do reach out to Amudim, support@amudim.org, like Zvi just mentioned, or the phone number. Is that an option as well, or the email is a better?
Sure, absolutely. So for the support line, which goes to the volunteers, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. is 718-972-3000, which is completely anonymous. There's no caller ID. People can call. And the Amudim office is 646-517-0222, 646-517-0222. I see another question here. Can you talk about how to reach out when it seems difficult to? Listen, this is something that for each person is personal to themselves. And all I could say is it's not easy, but I will tell you that the other side is when people do reach out and do finally take that step, even just the fact that they're able to speak to somebody or at least get the process started is in itself very therapeutic. It is very, very difficult, and I feel for you. I really do. It is the most difficult thing in the world when it seems that it's impossible or there's nowhere to turn, and again, it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to be able to reach out. But all I could say is, for those that are struggling with that, please reach out. This is known as Mental Health Awareness Month, something that we've been trying to destigmatize so many issues for a long time. So again, it's hard, it's tough, but the feeling afterwards is so beneficial that it's always important to take that first step.
Right, right. Why is it so difficult to convince the world, especially the carriers, the insurance carriers, the providers to, cover mental health issues, where we know, we've known for many centuries, right? One mind and body they're interlinked, right? Why is the world not seeing that? Wouldn't that make life much, much simpler? I think a lot of physical ailments also source back to, psychological or emotional issues.
So, I can't answer for insurance companies other than their job is to save money, and to make money for their investors, and the more money that they spend, the less profits they have. So insurance companies always look to cover the least possible they can get away with. However, I'm going to use a different analogy. Let's just look at the world 40 years ago. Parents, Rahman al-Islam, had a child born with a physical ailment. And I've said this before. This is a speech that I've given a few times. 40 years ago, parents that had a child that was born, developmentally disabled or something, very often sent the child to go live in a home someplace, or didn't even take him or her home from the hospital. That stigma changed. Many years ago, you couldn't say the word cancer. That stigma changed. Many years ago, you couldn't talk about, and I hate this term, but I'll mention it anyway, kids at risk. I say we're all at risk. I'm at risk. We're adults at risk. But still, the terminology, that stigma changed. Over the last couple of years, we've been seeing more and more about about addiction issues, right? Again, that stigma starting to change, not nowhere near where it needs to be, but definitely further ahead than it was. And I would say the same thing, regarding abuse matters and mental health matters. So it's certainly we're certainly getting there. And I think that as the world continues to head in that direction, the insurance companies are going to be forced into helping to cover for this care. I mean, one thing, listen, Reb David Cohen said it on the video, and everybody can watch it on Amudim's website. And Rashmul Meir Katz, who's a Paisik for BMG, for Lakewood Yeshiva, also put out a video that, this is Dinei Nefashis. These are matters of life and death. So we all know from a halachic standpoint that anything relating to mental health, addiction, abuse is matters of life and death. And it needs to be seen as such. And, if we had enough money to lobby, we would be lobbying the insurance companies as well. But I will tell you that on the government side, Medicaid has gotten much better at covering a tremendous amount of mental health work. And even a lot of insurance companies are getting better. And that's another thing. When we do have clients that do need to go to facilities, we try to do as much insurance advocacy as we can. Try to fight with the insurance companies. You win some, you lose some, but we got to do the best we could.
It's amazing. It's very interesting. And just to make it clear, what is Amudim's, I would say not niche, but what are the things that you're best at covering or best at helping with? I know there's drug addictions and sexual abuse and neglect and addiction. Can you just outline those things, please?
So the three main areas I would say of coverage that Amudim deals with is victims of childhood sexual abuse, whether they're children now or people in their 40s and 50s that are first reaching out to get help for what happened to them. Dealing with people with all sorts of addictions. I'm talking everything from, substance and alcohol use to sex addiction, gambling, any types of addictions. And then I don't like to use the term severe because to each person, other things are severe. But on the mental health side, our primary areas would be like eating disorders and self-harm and things of that nature. And what we provide is the clinical case management. All of our staff are all clinicians. They don't treat as clinicians. They're not actually doing the mental health care. But we had found that when we have clinicians doing the case management, it is much better for those who need help, especially when we have to deal with, like the previous question, dealing with parents, dealing with family, dealing with so many of these other things. It is so much better when it's a clinician that's dealing with it. And we take a 30,000-foot view, but we manage every detail of the matter. So if a person needs help, let's say, with the proper therapist, right? And we then realize that their spouse needs to be in therapy. So it's not just about the person, it's making sure the spouse or the children or the siblings. So it's using both. It's the macro and the micro at the same time.
Got it. Very interesting. But the actual therapy is not handled by Amudim. That's you guys are really managing it and referring to the right destination, so to speak. You're the captains.
So I don't use the word referring because we stay involved and the staff remains involved on a regular basis with the clinicians that we're sending to and with the treatment programs. But yes, we are sort of, and I like to use the word, we're the quarterbacks. Each case manager is the quarterback for anything that they need to deal with. And that's really, and that's the key. And one of the things that we have found is people with proper case management tend to do better quicker. Because, and the joke that we say in the office is, you have your therapist once a week and you have the Amudim case manager the rest of the week. And that's okay. And that's what we're here for. So that's what it boils down to. And then we also are very big about trying to make sure to get awareness out there. We've put out 6 award-winning PSA videos. Our 7th is coming out on May 31st, actually, on mental health. So it's amazing. And,
what is the best? What is I'd hate to call it the favorite video, but what is your pride and joy video if you have to pick one? Is it the Kiddush one? That's the one that stands out to me personally.
So I'll tell you the truth. The Kiddush Club video is not my favorite, but it was my favorite only because my partner in crime, who unfortunately passed away 2 years ago on Lag Baimer, Mendy Klein, Zechron Levracha, who founded Amudim and really was the power behind it. That video was very much his brainchild. So it sort of like became like the, synonymous with him. My favorite video, and I only say favorite, let me explain. every video that we produce is based on the real life stories. As we see patterns, we then decide, okay, we need to figure out what to do about this. And we
Right.
found that the power of videos is amazing. So my favorite video is Shattered of all times. It is the most true, the most real as far as what the way an abuse victim feels locked inside. Shattered portrays that like none of the other videos. However, the video that we put out last year, This Is Not Us, which is a very short clip but very powerful, that's an amazing video because that one encapsulates, one of the things we always hear from people is, oh, these problems, it's by the Haredim, it's by the Hasidim, it's by the Sfardim, it's by the Ashkenazim, it's by everybody but me. And that video was really, amazing. And our producer, the person who produces our videos, Yishai Gross, is just a genius. He's just a mastermind. The way he works and he works with our clinical team. Our clinical advisory board is involved in all the writing of all the videos. And I got to tell you an amazing story. We're here, and I see there's a question on the screen, so I apologize. We'll get to that in a sec.
No
I got to
problem.
tell you
No,
an
this is what
amazing
you're here
story.
for. Yeah, do your
Um,
thing. Yeah.
I got a voice note about a year and a half or two ago from somebody who I did not know who it was. He wasn't saved in my phone. And the voice note was basically the person saying, thank you. You saved my life. I'm coming up on my 40th birthday right now.
Yeah.
And I watched the video, Happy Birthday, Dad, 2 years ago, prior to when he left me the note. And I realized that that was me. And I've been
Wow.
locked inside. And by seeing that video, I was able to go reach out and get help and be a better husband and a better father. And to me, that's success, because at the end of the day, it's not about driving people to calling Amudim or to not calling Amudim. It's about getting people the help that they need. And if the videos that we're putting out, that I must say, our videos combined have had over 1 million views, and we don't really promote them. We don't spend money on the marketing and the advertising. But the fact that we get feedback that it's the videos that are getting people to get help, whether they're calling Amudim or whether they're calling somebody else, is just truly amazing. So they really are all favorites. I mean, that's the truth. They all have parts to it, and they're all so different. So, my favorite on the drug reality, which was our first video, was just the fact that it was also, they're all based on real stories. Don't get me wrong. I always get feedback. I want to tell you, this is great. So on the This Is Not Us, was it This Is Not Us? No, we did a music video with Nissim Black. That's on our website also. Beautiful. Thank you, Nissim, by the way. Amazing. Man's at Tzaddik wrote the song for us together with his brother-in-law and produced it. I mean, did everything for us. Mamish as a chesed. It was just amazing.
Wow.
And on that video, there were certain scenes in the video were showing what is supposed to portray a potential abuser trying to abuse a child. And then there's another scene in the video where the husband and wife are touching. And I got complaints from people. It's not sneeze to show a video of a husband and wife touching. And I said, one second, you're not complaining about the fact that there was a scene of potential sexual abuse, but you're worried about the touching? So
Right.
the videos always, I love the back part to the videos. But so they really are all my favorites because they all have different purposes and they serve them well.
Excellent. Where do we see all the videos? Are they on your website?
Amudim,
Obviously, they're on the website.
Amudim.org, and I believe there's a short tag. I'm going to check right now. I think it's amudim.org/PSA videos.
Okay.
Yeah, amudim.org/PSA videos. You can see them all. So let's respond to this sticker. I'm just curious. Just don't make fun of me. This is a question that you put up on the screen,
No, no,
or
no. I did put it up on the screen, but it was actually
I'm just curious how
submitted by
this
somebody.
works. Oh, so somebody submits it and then you can create it and put. Okay, I have to learn this technology. You're going to help me with that afterwards. So
Sure, sure.
how can
Free.
a
I need
late?
free therapy in exchange.
You know what? I'll tell you what. If you pay for my therapy, I'll pay for yours.
We don't have to pay for it. You just call Amudim. What's the problem? Just
So
are
that's
they
a
on your
very
speed
big
dial or
so
what?
that's a very big misconception.
I
People
know.
think that we're called the First National Bank of Amudim. We're not. We're not FDIC insured. I do want to tell you that in the year 2019, we actually ran the numbers. If every person that called us specifically for funding, we would have said yes to, I want you to take a guess how much money we would have had to raise in 2019.
It's going to be a tough guess.
Throw out a
Tell
number.
us. Tell us.
$35 million.
Wow.
It means if
Wow.
every person that called us, we said yes to, that means 50,000 for this program, 60,000 for that, 2,500 for this. We would have added everything together. It
Right.
would have been $35 million. And I wish, by the way, that I could say yes each time that happens. But our
Sure.
own
Sure.
expenses are over $4 million a year.
Wow.
And we do have some subsidy funding available when we have the money. And then when we run out of it, people get annoyed. Oh, so we put people on a waiting list until we get more money, but we try. But the answer is, but I will tell you before we get to the next question, I am proud to say this publicly. I do go to therapy every week. I'm not embarrassed about it. I feel that everybody should be in therapy, whether they know it or not. And I think that the
That's
more
great.
I tell people that I'm in therapy, maybe they'll feel more, inclined to agree to go. So I'm not
It's
embarrassed
very
about it.
courageous to you.
I
Very
need to go, and
courageous for you to say this on a live stream. Yeah.
I am not embarrassed about it at all. So how can a
Good for you.
layperson help Amudim's cause besides for donating money? So it's a very good question. First of all, it's not all about money, even though we need money. So if a person helps promote Amudim's cause, whether it's promoting our social media, promoting our posts, things of that nature, simple tasks, definitely helpful. Whether it's helping arrange, now obviously we're not doing the same types of events, but if it's helping arrange events in one's community, we don't charge when we come to a community and we do events. So arranging an event, speaking engagement, it's not a business for us. Helping to bring awareness, trying to find other ways. So it's just, really there's many, many ways that people can help besides for money. And people get creative, so people can always email info@amudim.org if they want to try to offer their services. And if it's something that we feel we can help with, we'll be more than happy to find it and do what we can. So thank you for your question.
Excellent. Excellent. Now let's just do the second part of that question is if someone is inclined to help by donating dollars, where this question leaves off. How do they do that? What's the easiest way to do that?
Amudim.org/donate. Couldn't make it
Everything
any.
is on your, okay.
Yes,
Good.
everything is on
Everything's on your
Amudim's
website.
website. When we built the
Excellent.
COVID page, it's on the website. Everything is accessible from the Amudim website. Absolutely.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
of
So
course, if
folks,
somebody
if you
wants
want
to
to help,
wire us a lot of money, then by all means, you just call me directly. We'll take
no,
it.
they should call me and then I'll get it to you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's just.
All right. It's good to be lighthearted about these things. So the question about Amudim's programs, can you tell us more about your divisions?
Sure. So Amudim, Amudim proper, as we call it, is the comprehensive clinical case management. That is the the main work that we do. Then we do awareness. Then we have an entire team dedicated to training how to use Narcan, and we distribute Narcan, which is the opioid reversal agent, people that have overdoses, to help reverse them, again, completely free of charge. We also have the project, which I mentioned earlier. When we have money, we can use it, called Project Heal, which is a therapy subsidy fund to help people who can't afford therapy treatments. We also have the GAVS division, which is for teens at risk. Again, now it's a little bit not as active because of social distancing, but it's a summer camp and an all-year program with weekend retreats, and the mentors stay involved. And then we have our entire
Kids are
school
not at risk
programming.
through Zoom. Through
I'm
Zoom,
sorry.
kids can't be
No.
at
So
risk from Zoom.
we're doing multiple Zoom sessions regularly, but I'm saying is, like, normally we'd already be preparing to do a 7-week road trip, as part of the
Got
summer
it.
program. So that is not happening. Then we have Amudim Israel, which is amazing. It's again then in Israel, which we're opening up here as well. We have a music studio. It's called Reignited Studios, which is designed to help those be able to use music as the arts to be able to get themselves the help that they need. So that's amazing. And then we have a school education division called Darchenu, which we're creating curriculum for schools, and we go into schools and we do trainings both for staff, for parents, for students. So those are our divisions. Is the therapy subsidy for specific therapists? So the answer is yes and no, meaning we don't tell people what therapist they should use. If people are using a therapist and they're happy with them and they just need a little bit of help and we have money available, then we'll be more than happy to assist. But they do have to be licensed therapists. We are not, and again, I want to be careful with what I'm saying here. We don't not help people, because we don't want to. But if somebody is not seeing a licensed, therapist, then they're seeing some sort of mentor or something else, then no, we cannot assist with that on the
Which makes
subsidy fund.
sense. Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, you guys are professionals and you want to keep it professional. For lack of a better analogy, referring plumbers, you want to make sure you're referring to good licensed plumbers and not someone that's going to create more problems, right?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go back to our cards, our question cards here. This is a great question. It's a question that I was going to ask actually. And what is the hardest part of working in Amudim for you, I think, personally?
So
Is the
I was
question.
going to say, if that's a question for me, the hardest part is raising the money. No, I'm being serious. In other words, the hardest part really is when we suffer a loss. And when we do suffer a loss, whether it's a suicide or an overdose, and most of them are accidental and things of that nature, it is very, very painful. And we have to look at the wins more than the losses, and you see it now, for example. Everyone's talking about how many people are dying. Nobody's talking about how many people have survived COVID-19.
No.
But at the end of the day, the hardest part is when we suffer a loss. But for me personally, my hardest part of the job is actually raising the funds. And I'll say that just openly. How do you stay sane with all the case managers? So that's a question for the case managers. I'm not sane in the first place, so I can't stay sane. But Baruch Hashem, the case managers have a lot of peer-to-peer support. We have an amazing clinical director, Miriam Lankry, who's really, on top of everything. And as my wife is saying, I try to shut my brain off at night. That doesn't seem to work very well. So we try to stay sane. It's not easy. We use a lot of humor. I'm not going to argue. We use a lot of humor to try to stay sane. And we do the best we could. But there was actually a question that I see that's very important. So I have to scroll down to that. I'm just messing up my screen over here. So here's the answer. Can you teach parents to work with the child and the therapist about the pain? It's not a question of teaching the parents. It's a question of educating parents is the proper terminology. And we can certainly try. We can't promise that it'll always work, but we certainly try as hard as we can to get parents to understand what it is and how they must be a part of the healing process in order to help their children. And it's not just parents, by the way. Sometimes it's spouses. Sometimes it's siblings, but it's about teaching what we term the other affected individual about the pain and about what's really going on and educating them so that they are a part of the healing process. I hope that answers your question.
It answered it to me. That's a great answer. What is it? The uptick that you saw? I think you mentioned 60 some odd% increase in the caseload since COVID-19 really spiked, right?
Yep.
Is it a consistent increase across the board, or do you see like depression spiked up and because we had the police commissioner on like a few weeks ago on this on the virtual town halls, and he was saying actually crime is down, right? Because criminals are staying home as well, which was completely the opposite of what I expected. It's very counterintuitive, right? You expect crime to go up because people are more desperate or whatever. So for you guys, is it all consistently an increase, or is it other areas that are increased?
So it's disproportionate. We're seeing a major increase in domestic violence matters, a major increase in relapse, people that are struggling with staying sober, that are having a very hard time being able to, maintain sobriety. We're seeing, unfortunately, in the last few weeks alone, we've had more cases of suicidal ideations, and suicide attempts than in the last 4 months combined. So we're certainly seeing in those areas a disproportionate increase. But I will tell you that we are very, very concerned, and I'll tiftach peh l'satan, but I have to say this, that as the quarantines are getting more relaxed and as things are getting more lifted, a lot of people that are in abusive situations that haven't been able to reach out are that, we're worried that that's going to be an even bigger insurgence. I mean, I'll tell you right now, we are struggling with housing for close to 27 people at the moment, I believe. I have to get the exact number, where people cannot be in the home with their abuser or whatever it might be, and shelters aren't the best option, and I'm literally trying to find sponsor by sponsor to cover one person stay in a hotel, another person to get an apartment. It's just heartbreaking, and that's something that right now normally you could figure something out. A friend has a house, a big house, no, but because of Corona, people aren't just letting people, especially not strangers, in. So this has really made it much more complicated. So it's a definitely
Wow.
disproportionate increase, but I got to give a big shout out again to the staff, because they're managing it. I mean, they're just made real troopers. So God bless them for it.
You didn't have to increase and scale up your operations and your staffing in order to be able to accommodate
Uh,
this. They were able
oh
to just
no,
step up to the plate.
Oh, I think we're probably one of the few organizations that's hiring now and not firing. And we are adding to the staff. We have a couple of new staff starting, I think tomorrow, and within the next few days. I have a few interviews. But the only way that I hire new staff is if I secure the funding first. So instead of just saying, "Oh, we need to hire staff," I first needed to find people with money who agreed to help sponsor a new staff member, so then we can hire them. But we actually are adding staff as we speak, and we are interviewing as we speak, because we have no choice.
I see. And the openings are also on amudim.org?
So they were, but for some reason that part was not up. It was supposed to be up again. It's amudim.org/jobs, but yeah, it's not up right now because we literally just started posting the jobs again. But people can email their resumes to jobs@amudim.org, and we'll take, we will certainly take a look at it.
Excellent. Jobs at amudim.org.
And again, we're looking for people in the fundraising department, because I can't keep doing it alone. We're looking for social workers to be case managers. We're looking for a person for intake. So we do have openings right now. And I see that this one person is asking again, so I'm going to just address it as follows. I very much would love to try to see if we can get one of our staff to assist you if possible. If you want to create a fake email address through Gmail to maintain your anonymity, that's perfectly fine. And just email us at support@amudim.org, and we will try to assign someone to help you, or you can send us a DM on Instagram and we'll try to help you, or your friend. I'm not sure if you're talking about yourself or if about somebody else. I don't want to make any assumptions. But what do you do when parents won't pay for things or moving out? Again, these are all things that we deal with. We don't have the magic wand for any of it, but obviously whoever you're referring to certainly needs help, and we would love to try to assist.
So definitely reach out to Amudim directly, and they'll be able to hopefully, with the talented staff that they have there, assist you. By all means, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed. Like Zvi said, support@amudim.org or 718-972-3000. 718-972-3000.
That's the support line. That's to speak to
Right.
a professional, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Right. And Zvi, one thing that I would suggest being a technologist, and this is maybe something we'll take offline, is maybe consider doing an anonymous remailer where I can email Amudim, but it's anonymized automatically in both directions.
So people can, again, they say like this: we don't have an anonymous email, but people could send us a message. If you go to amudim.org, you can actually send a message to us by contact us, and you could put in anything you want, but it's kind of hard to communicate. So I always tell people, very easy to just go to gmail.com and create a pseudonym, make your own anonymous email address, and communicate with us with that. And I also have to mention, I spoke about my dedicated staff. I hate to do this. I know we're almost out of time, but I have to thank also my COO, Zoe, who's been with me from day one and really helped us, from everything. She started off as my assistant and has grown with the ranks in my entire finance department, headed up by Devorah Pellman, our CFO, and my executive assistant, Faye Landau. We're blessed with the amazing team, and I would say everybody's names here, and Leora, who does our database administrators. So these are really the people that are there. And really just some great people. And of course, Fran Biederman Gross, sorry, I should have mentioned you too, helps us with a lot of our branding and a lot of getting our message out, we'll call it. We just have a great team. So
I can
thank you,
attest to it
everybody.
personally. I have no stake in this game, right? I'm a friend of Tzvi's, and that's it. But I can attest to it personally. The staff is amazing. I mean, it's probably just setting up the live stream tonight uh, was the easiest that I've ever experienced as far as branding, as far as the, like you mentioned, the graphic artists that just were able to do the invitation graphics and coordinating everything was, it was a breeze and a pleasure. So I thank them, and I vouch for and validate what you're saying about your staff. Really amazing.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to see if this works here. I'm going to try to type in the actual number to the Amudim office.
Actually, I have it pinned on the. Do you want the office number up as well? Because I have the support line
Yeah,
pinned.
so the support line is for people that are looking to speak to a mental health professional, for that. And if anyone needs Amudim services, I just put, I don't know how to pin. I don't, maybe I can't pin, but 646-517-0222 is the main number to contact Amudim. And by the way, people can call Amudim as well and mention on the phone, I want to remain anonymous, and will assign a case manager to help them with a pseudonym. So if
Right.
somebody feels comfortable at least sharing their phone number so they can be in touch with somebody, but still be anonymous, by all means, they can do that as well. We want to make it as easy as possible for people to get the help that they need.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I started mentioning. But I'll get into details with you offline about the anonymous remailer. You don't have to create a Gmail account. Just email anonymous at amudim.org, for example, and it'll automatically anonymize it for whomever is contacting you guys in both directions. Right? You guys don't know who they are, and they don't know who you guys. But we can talk about that offline. There's a way to do that
So
technology.
we just say thank you, Dina, for the shout out. We love you too. And you and your family are superheroes, and your husband keeps me sane. So thanks for that. But if you can help me offline about that, if there's a way to set it up that somebody could send us an email and we can automatically respond anonymous, we would certainly make that available to people because, again, our goal is to help as many people as we can.
Yeah, by whatever means possible. Right. Very good. Here's a great question. I like this question. It's a little bit more prying, but you're opened up yourself to ask me anything. So, what's a
Absolutely.
mistake you've made in the organization, and how have you learned from it?
Ooh,
In the
so
3 minutes we're doing
I've made lots of mistakes, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. I always like to say the good thing is I like to make a mistake once. If I make it a second time, then I'm in trouble. Um, some of the mistakes that I've made are jumping the gun in the early days. I was a little bit of a cowboy. I used to assume that I knew everything until I learned the hard way that that's not true. And yeah, big shout out to Tippy. Thank you. I was a cowboy in the early days, sometimes, making assumptions and learning that not everything is as it seems. So that's definitely a mistake. Other mistakes I've made is this is an embarrassing one. Not properly following up with donors and cultivating relationships, and then just assuming that because they gave money once, they'll give it again. Certainly a big mistake, one I still make.
right.
And then there's a lot of operational mistakes, things that we've learned from. Whether it's upgrading our systems, our databases, and things of that nature to help us be more effective and more efficient. So there's been a lot of speed bumps along the way. I will say I have a little bit of the upper hand. That means by the time we founded Amudim, I already had some background in the nonprofit world. So for example, if you look at Amudim's website, we don't only have our 990s published, but our audited financials as well. We believe in full transparency. That was based on learning from other people's mistakes in the nonprofit world where things weren't transparent and people got into trouble. I figured it's easier to be open and clean than take a risk. So, but there's
Right.
nothing wrong with making mistakes if we can learn from them and it can help us do things better. So making mistakes is very much a part of who we are and what we do in life in general.
That's a great soundbite right there. It is.
I mean,
Absolutely. Um, Here's another interesting question. We spoke about your videos. what is your role in the PSA videos in the 1 minute or so we have left? And
How
if
important is
anyone
the
has any other
role?
questions, speak up
My
now.
role is just to help make sure that they're produced properly and that the scripts, but I think they meant is what role do the PSA videos play? The role is that hundreds of people call for help after each time we put out another PSA video. So obviously that means, that it's working. So I want to thank you so much for having me on the show. And we should do this again. This was actually interesting,
We
and we
should.
should.
We should. Next time we'll do it with a little bit more of a format consistent with virtual town halls. But this was fantastic. I really, really personally appreciate it. I think on behalf of everyone that was here, we really appreciate it. Yasher koach to you. Chazak baruch. All the best. Hashem should give you all the strength and wisdom to be able to continue doing this. For people to donate very easily, and for you not to have to chase after people and follow up with them, and so that you could focus on your mission of bringing a lot of goodness to the community, which we all really, really can use these days and really appreciate.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank you,
so,
Zvi.
so much. And have a
Thank you
good
for
Yom
taking
Tif
time out
and a
of your
great
business.
Shabbos. You
Thank you
got it.
very much.
Take care.
Happy
All the best.
Shavuot. Chag Sameach. All the
Chag
best.
Sameach. Take care.
And everyone else,
So
stay safe.
how do I do here?